Our featured guest this month has one of the most diverse and fascinating career paths I've ever seen, spanning multiple countries from ballet to modeling to music to wrestling to film and television. She's CJ Perry, a multi-talented performer who can do it all. Known as Lana for all of our WWE fans out there, she cemented her reputation in the wrestling world as a villainess, alongside legendary wrestler Rusev, whom she married in real life. Outside of the ring, CJ has been part of the girl group No Means Yes. She's been a backup dancer for Nelly, Pink, and Usher. She's been featured in The Game, Pitch Perfect 1 and 2, Banshee, the sci-fi action flick Cosmic Sin with Bruce Willis, as well as a slew of reality shows like The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Total Divas, Total Bellas, and this month's celebrity-packed reboot of VH1's The Surreal Life. I sat down with this incredible star to talk about her unique journey, playing a baddie in the WWE, her favorite horror movies, and of course, her experience living under the same roof with celebrities like Dennis Rodman, Kim Coles, and Frankie Muniz in VH1's The Surreal Life. Here's what CJ had to say. Today we are jumping up and down here in the ring as we are joined by the amazing CJ Perry. CJ, welcome to Everything Zen.
Thank you for having me.
You've been billed as the villain Lana in the WWE, hailing from Moscow, Russia. But in reality, Catherine Joy Perry was born in Gainesville, Florida, and grew up in Latvia. Talk to me about your parents, your siblings, language and culture in your household. What was growing up like for you?
It was very unique. Yesterday I was talking to one of my classmates in acting class, and I felt like we had really connected because both of us bounced back and forth, and she bounced back and forth from the UK to America. And I feel like if you don't have that experience, like only people that do that can fully relate and understand how it affects you literally growing up, because as a kid you want to fit in, at least I did. And so moving from America to Latvia at 5 years old, and being American by passport, and then being a minority. I grew up as a minority, and so if I turn around and I tell Americans that I feel I identify as being a minority, they look at you crazy. But it's like, no, my defining years from 5 to 18, I was the minority. I was the only American, and they did not like Americans. We were not the popular person on the block. They go home, see you later. And so that really impacted me in a way that I think it helps me be a lot more empathetic to people's different journeys of life, and don't judge a book by its cover. That's like for sure. And also, I think how I approach discipline and work ethic was so defined by the Russians and Eastern Europeans and Latvians. They take everything very serious. You don't do growing up 20 different things. You don't do 7 different sports. You pick one sport and you become a professional at it. You don't do football, basketball, volleyball, dance, ballet, gymnastics, soccer, swimming. It's like, oh, you want to be a hockey player? You wake up at 4 years old, you wake up at 4 a.m. every single day and you go train to be a hockey player, or you go figure skating or ballet or gymnastics. And so that commitment to literally at such a young age doing 40 hours a week of ballet, when at least 40 hours when you're 9, 10 years old, really, really defines your ideas of work ethic and discipline. And they're very intense over there. Think very Nadia Comaneci, think very like Soviet Union regime. They're still like that. That's how they approach everything. And that really defined me. It defined how I approach things, but it also kind of defined how I had to kind of change my mindset. It's still working on how I talk to people sometimes, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm real intense, very Eastern European versus like American. We're a little nicer, I feel, than that. And it's just a different culture. They've been oppressed for years, war, the Holocaust, World War I, World War II, just a lot. And you just feel it. And So that was like my environment. But then I had my family that was very American and Christian and had these values, the American values, like never give up, the sky's the limit. Everything is possible. Nothing, nothing's impossible if you work hard. And that's not everyone's mentality there.
And you did work extremely hard. And I read that, of course, you were a very accomplished ballerina, like your mother, and you even danced at some of the best dance companies in the world. What sort of changed? Because you were in New York City at the time doing dance, and then all of a sudden you relocated to Tallahassee to go to Florida State.
Yes, I relocated because I wanted to have an American experience. And so I grew up in a magnet school, and I did 40 hours a week ballet and did my academics as well. So I got into Alvin Ailey Conservatory, and I got into Juilliard as well. But Alvin Ailey was a more different experience. I felt like Juilliard was much more similar to my experience that I had the past 8 years. And I'm a big person of like, I want new experiences. I want to be exposed to new ways of life. I want to meet new people. And I felt like it was great the first 6 months at Alvin Ailey. But then I realized that this is going to be my only time to really experience something truly normal America, because I didn't have prom, I didn't have American high school, and I knew I was going to be an entertainer. I knew I was going to be like in the arts, and there's nothing really normal about that. So my dad he wanted me to either go to Florida State or UCLA, and Florida State has one of the best dance schools, state dance schools, like if you take a state university in the nation. So yeah, I went to Florida State because I wanted to be exposed to other people besides just dancers or just artists. And Florida State, you have tailgating and football and baseball and the whole college book experience, and FAMU is there, and
Florida State Cowgirls.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so thankful. It really had me grow as a person. And I think to be a really good artist and storyteller, you need to have more life experiences so you can bring that to the table.
Absolutely. So you talked about like wanting to be in the entertainment industry. Who or what influenced you most as a kid?
Well, Mark Verznikov was one of my heroes for sure. He actually went to my school. So that like, I love that he crossed over, like he was on Sex and the City. And I always was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I'm going to not just be a dancer. I'm going to dance, but I'm going to cross over into all these other avenues. So actually, now that we're talking about this, I'm like, wow, I've done that. So that's cool. Pat on the shoulder. But also Michael Jordan was very inspiring to me. I think because he's an athlete, and I think always kind of slightly identified as an athlete as well, because ballet is very athletic and discipline like athletes. But with him, it always resonated with me that he didn't make his varsity team. And then he became like one of the greatest of all time. And he worked really hard. And I just identified with that. Like, you get a lot of rejection and a lot of no's in entertainment. And you just have to be able to persevere and be resilient and get back up and keep knocking, because one of those doors are going to open.
Well, speaking of rejections, so you graduate from FSU and you're now in Los Angeles looking for your big break, sort of early 2000-ish. What was that period of time like for you? Was it the typical starving artist, actor type of scenario where you're auditioning, searching for an agent, looking for commercials?
Oh, yeah. All the cliches, most of the cliches, definitely, I've lived through. I joined a girl group in Atlanta right out of college. And so I did that for a year and a half. I learned a lot. I learned how to sing, essentially, at least carry a melody. And then I moved to LA because I went with my friends. I was broke. I had no money. And we went to Vegas. One of my friends was like, I'll pay for you to go. And I got really lucky. I took $50 and I made $5,000 out of it. And so I was like, this is a sign. I'm moving to LA. I'm taking this money and I'm taking my car and I'm moving to LA. And I was just so lucky and so blessed to have many different friends or fellow dancers that would give me their couch to crash on. There was times that I would sleep in my car because the first 6 months I didn't have a house. So I would just, crash people's couches. That one family let me stay in their guest room for 3 months, which was just like, I look back and I'm like, wow, like, thank you. And I was able just to book a lot of dance jobs and a lot of auditions, but got a couple lucky breaks. And from there, it was just like more and more, direct booking. And actually with Pitch Perfect, which is Pitch Perfect and Surreal Life, which is really crazy. Both of those like landed, like were given to me. So it's like you go out there and you hustle and you work hard, you get no's, like a lot of them, and you got to figure out how to pay your bills. So you start doing, dancing at bar mitzvahs and go-go dancing and hustling. And I'll never forget for Pitch Perfect, I was like what you were saying too, trying to get agents, people telling you you're too old already. You're like 22. It's like, okay. And I was at a pool party. I think I was drunk. And I got a call from my agent saying, you booked Pitch Perfect. We need you in Baton Rouge tomorrow. And I am so thankful for that. It was such a blessing when it came to financially, huge. Like just, I was on the job for 3 months. I still get residual checks from that. And also just such an amazing experience that I had. I met so many new people, met so many friends. So that was incredible.
I want to backtrack just for a second because you talked about No Means Yes, the girl group that was on part of Neo's record. Did you ever know that you had vocal talent? I mean, at any point in time that you were growing up, did you think, oh, I definitely can sing. I could be a professional musician?
I knew I could like kind of carry a melody, but I wouldn't say like crazy singer was the thing. I knew I had like a cute tone, but I would just get so shy that I couldn't like project. And so it was really being in the girl group, and we had crazy intense camps. Like literally they would make us do insane things like run for 2 hours while singing. Yeah,
really?
It was insane. It's literally insane. Like for every single day, 2-hour voice classes. So it really, really, really developed my like confidence, and confidence is a big thing. And yeah, I learned how to sing essentially. Singing also can be very technical. Some people just naturally do it. Like they do all, like the way they move their mouth, like just maybe naturally so they can sing, but also a lot of it can be learned as long as you have somewhat of a tone to work with. And I'm talking about basic singing. I'm not talking about like a Whitney Houston by any means.
Right.
Like, okay, I can sing like a cute little song and not hurt your ears.
And not use auto-tune. So, yeah. So it's, again, your career trajectory, I think, is one of the most fascinating I've ever seen because it touches on so many different areas, from dance and film and television to music to wrestling. So you're acting, singing, and then all of a sudden you're signing with WWE and you meet your future husband, the legendary wrestler Rusev. Was it love at first sight?
It was. I remember meeting him with all these other people. It was my first day in WWE. I got signed. It was a 6-month tryout, super intense. They called me and said I was signed on my birthday, which was a gift for sure. It was amazing. So I showed up and I met him, but I like vaguely remember him. He really remembers this day. And then the following day I went to the tanning bed and I'm like, oh, are you a wrestler? Because he's super jacked. And he's like, why do you think this? And I'm like, well, because you're kind of a big guy. And are you from Russia? And he's like, no, Bulgaria. And I was like, oh my God, I toured there and I lived in Latvia. And so it was like instantly an Eastern European connection that we had. And then on the third day, I show up to promo class with Dusty Rhodes, who is an absolute legend in wrestling. Yep. He was in charge of acting class and how to create your characters. I started my promo speaking Russian, and then I switched to English, and he loved it. And then he pulled me aside and he's like, I want you to work with Rusinov. He couldn't even say Rusev, his name right, which was kind of his shtick with his Southern accent. And so, yeah, when I found him, I'm like, they want us to work together. And the following day we started writing promos together and shooting stuff. And, I'm super crazy neurotic with that stuff. I was doing whole vignettes with him, directing it.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, I got really lucky. And from there, we probably started dating like 2 months later, but we were instantly very close friends.
Now, playing a villain and an instigator can be a lot of fun, but was it ever difficult, especially for fans, to separate Lana from CJ? Was social media really challenging for you in that regard?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't, there were times that it got really challenging. I think during the pandemic, it got the most challenging because that's all you receive. So prior pandemic, you go out there and you know you're going to say this and then they're going to boo, and they always usually do. And so there's just so much fun and like stirring the pot and having a relationship with the crowd. Like, it is an emotional connection and a relationship we have with the crowd. And my job as a villain is to make sure all these people boo the shit out of me. So then the baby face, the good guy, comes out and kicks my ass and everyone cheers, and or slaps the shit out of me and everyone's laughing in my face. That is my job. And if I don't do that, then I'm not a good villain. And also, if I'm not a good villain, then why do you need a hero to save? And so really understanding that storytelling aspect and the essential part of being a villain to the story, I don't know. I loved it. And I think, like, I don't know, maybe I'm good at stirring the pot and I enjoy it. Like, it's funny to me a little bit. And when you enjoy something, it comes across. And so people, like, we like to see people have fun, even if we kind of love to hate it. So that was great. Sometimes it would get to me here and there, stuff on Twitter. It would usually be more from Total Divas, I think it would get to me. When I am a character, I'm like, no, that's my character. But with Total Divas, people, they would still sometimes like edit things certain ways. And when people come for you personally, it's definitely a little bit more hurtful and a little bit, just a little bit more hurtful. But I understood that was what I chose. Like, when you step into reality TV, like, or anything, people are going to love you and hate you. But during the pandemic, it was really hard because you don't get that gratification of people booing you, and you don't get like that emotional connection and that energy. All you see is like hateful comments. And so that definitely got to me a little bit. Fortunately, during the pandemic, I became a good guy. And it switched. So that was halfway in, it changed. And I'm very thankful because that was pretty brutal. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. My wife and I enjoy watching Ms. and Mrs. And I know you've been on, several reality shows, but you and your husband would be terrific on a show like that. Miro and Mrs. Has that ever come up as a possibility?
It's been discussed. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of reality shows, let's talk about The Surreal Life, which premieres on Monday, October 24th on VH1. And if it sounds familiar to our listeners, that's because it is a reboot of the series that ran for several seasons in the early 2000s. What can you tell us about the show and what makes it different this time around?
Well, a big part, I think the biggest difference is the cell phone. And so that really, at least for me personally, I was like, whoa, I'm really codependent on my phone. And so I was a big fan of this show. So I actually watched it like a crazy person when it was on. But the diligent person that I am, I wanted to do a lot of research on it again. And so I rewatched everything, and it was fascinating to be like, oh, they went to the telephone, like they went and I forgot about that. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting how they're going to do this. And then we found out they're taking our phone. And so if it's one, like the addiction to social media, if it's the addiction to whatever you are on your phone, if it was just so hard. I didn't have an alarm. Like, everything is on my phone, my alarm, my music, my auto books, my meditation, my workouts, my, texting with my family, calling my family. Also, the hardest thing was not having Google. So I could Google the people I don't know on the show. Or things I don't know. Like, I'm so much more smart because I have that instant like that instant access to educating myself. Like, oh, I don't know how to spell that word. Let me Google it. Oh, I don't know what that is. Let me Google it. And I'm so thankful I don't have to walk around with a dictionary, but I guess I needed to bring a dictionary and alarm. And I don't know, what else do we play? What do we play music and stuff on? A Kindle, maybe? I don't know. So that's definitely a different aspect of it. I think that social experiment part of it for me and other people too, I think was definitely challenging.
What are some of your home pet peeves, things that you need in your environment, things that you don't like? For instance, do you like when things are organized and neat? Do you need space and quiet? Are you a sound sleeper? Do you like having white noise?
White noise. I like things completely dark. I started to implement this actually was in WWE. They would bring in different people to talk about wellness and self-improvement. And there was this one person that came in and was like, hey, you need to put your phone not next to you. You need to put like further. It needs to be on silent. Everything needs to be dark. Everything needs to be silent. And I used to like have the curtains open, keep the TV on. And I was like, let me just try this. And wow, it was a game changer. I would sleep so much longer. My sleep would be so much deeper. And so for me, light makes a big difference. Like I can almost even sleep through noise, but light is, whoa, I sleep much deeper with full darkness. So I have blackout curtains. Luckily on Surreal Life, everything was blacked out. So that was good. Tamar Braxton was my roommate. And so that was a lot of fun. And she was pretty organized. Like she wasn't crazy OCD organized, which was nice. I like things organized, but I have to have someone help me organize because that's not my first foot in the door.
Right. Was there anybody on the show that you didn't get along with as much?
You're going to have to tune in to see the drama. No, it was very interesting meeting so many different people from different walks of life and different experiences. And I'm so captivated by unique people. And so I guess you could say I'm captivated by being captivated. And I feel like you have a lot of that on the show. I mean, we have Frankie Muniz, Stormy Daniels, August Aslin, Tamar Braxton, Dennis Rodman, Kim Coles, Manny MUA. We're all from different walks of life, all different careers, religions, ethnicities, cultures, experiences. And it was just fascinating to live with all these people with no doors and hear their story, you know? I mean, August, I met him as August, and first and foremost, I didn't know who August was, and I didn't learn who August was or how, like, any headlines until after the fact. So that was, like, interesting. And same with Stormy Daniels, same thing. And Tamar, and my experience with Tamar is so different than, let's say, some headlines were out there. I mean, she brought so much awareness of mental health to me and her journey of mental health and what she's done to like help improve herself and help improve her mental health, and how the tools she's gotten for herself really inspired me to go on that journey and really bring awareness that my anxiety is a form of like neglecting my mental health. And so I'm very thankful. Everyone was I learned something from everyone.
That's great. Now I have to switch gears just for a second, because from your Instagram, it looks like you've attended some really cool premieres for Halloween Ends, Interview with a Vampire. What is your favorite scary movie or show, and why?
It's such a hard question because I get really scared. I'm a big scaredy cat. I really enjoyed Halloween Ends. Shining, I enjoy, but like really like terrified enjoy. I had to watch it under a blanket.
You can't have those blackout curtains up watching that.
And I had to watch it like with 7 people. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. Scream is funny. I get really scared. So if someone's not there, like I couldn't even finish Chucky. Like, I was like so terrified. And then I tried to find Liv Morgan. She was just champion in WWE. She's one of my really close friends. And I went to Halloween Ends with her. And she's a diehard horror fan. Diehard. And so she's tried to get me to watch it with her like 7 times. And I can't get past the first 7 minutes. I'm like trembling. So yeah, I'm a big scaredy cat when it comes to that.
That's okay. I mean, we just watched Hocus Pocus.
Oh my God, I love Hocus Pocus. Okay, yeah. Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you. Love Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, there you go. Last question for you. Following the Surreal life, is there anything you'd like to tease or any projects coming up? Will you return to wrestling, singing, dancing?
Well, there's always TikTok for dancing. I mean, of course, I would love to do something in wrestling if it was right, if the story's right, if it makes sense. Absolutely, there's nothing like it. It really became the love of my life. When it comes to any type of career I've done, it was like the perfect merge of everything I love. Dance and singing, you're in front of a live crowd, and then acting. A lot of what I do is more in television and movies. I haven't done a play on a big level yet. So you don't get the instant gratification from television and movies. So it's this one place that is like, you get both sides. You get the television part of it, the scripted part of it, but also the live reaction of the people. And then also it's a sport, and I was always drawn to more athletic things. So then there's that, and then it's like, then there's the modeling part of it, and the action figures, and the trading cards, and the merchandise. And it's like a place that I had found that I could do all this stuff and then entertain people and put smiles on people's faces, and not necessarily be taken too seriously. I love serious art, and I love deep, profound, that moves your heart and your soul. But I also like pop music, and I like things that just like make us smile and entertain us. And I miss that, and I love that. And I really hope Surreal Life will do that. I really hope people watching it will laugh. I hope we make them laugh. I hope we make them cry at some point, because there is a lot of crying in there too, but not in a bad way, in a good way. I hope we take people on a crazy ride and bringing more awareness of mental health as well. And I really, really hope that we make people smile and give a good feel thing. So yeah, I'm always working on things. cjperry.com. You can subscribe and see all the latest, as well as all the behind the scenes stuff. I will be definitely talking about the show, Surreal Life, like after it airs. I'm going to be talking about that episode, and also the things that probably didn't make it, because you can't. I
like that. Behind the scenes.
Yes. So subscribe. And yeah.
CJ, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. You definitely have made us smile. You've entertained us. Congrats on kicking butt in and out of the ring and surviving a house full of celebrities on the Surreal Life.
Thank you.
CJ Perry joins The Surreal Life, airing on VH1 beginning on Monday, October 24th, with new episodes airing every Monday. And you can follow all of her exploits in dance, music, acting, wrestling, and more at cjperry.com, as well as her Instagram handle at @CJPerry.